Imagine waking up one morning and realizing your life has been looping. Different faces, same endings. Different jobs, same emptiness. Different choices, yet somehow the same ache keeps finding you. You tell yourself, this time will be different. But beneath every promise of change, the old story begins again. Why do you, despite all your awareness, your effort, your progress, keep walking back into the same pain? You think it's circumstance. You think it's bad luck. You think it's them. But what if it's none of those things? What if it's you, or rather, the part of you refuse to see? Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What if your fate isn't written by the stars, but by the wounds you never faced? You see, the mind is a strange architect. It builds its own prisons, not out of walls, but out of forgotten memories, unspoken fears, and unhealed desires. Every mistake you repeat is the echo of something deeper, calling out for recognition. You think you're choosing freely, but maybe you're being drawn back, like gravity, to the very places where your soul was once fractured. Picture this. A man keeps finding himself in relationships that end the same way. He blames betrayal, incompatibility, bad timing. But deep down, he's chasing a ghost, an unresolved story from childhood, where love meant abandonment. So he finds it again and again, until one day he sees it not as misfortune, but as a message. That moment, the instant he sees, is where the cycle begins to crack. Jung believed that life itself is a dialogue between consciousness and the unconscious. And the patterns we repeat are not punishments, but conversations. Every repetition is your psyche whispering, "Look here, this is where you left yourself behind." But most people never listen. They run, they distract, they numb, they keep changing scenery, jobs, partners, beliefs, while carrying the same shadow in their suitcase. Think about it. How many times have you sworn to change, only to fall back into the same pattern? The same anger that flares up in every argument. The same anxiety before every risk. The same guilt after every escape. You call it weakness. You call it bad habits. But what if these are not flaws? What if they are symbols? Messages from a part of you that's been exiled, begging to be seen. The tragedy of modern life is that we confuse awareness with transformation. We read, we analyze, we talk about healing. But deep down, we remain afraid to feel it. We dissect our pain, but never enter it. We label our trauma, but never embrace it. We wear self-knowledge like armor, but the truth is, healing begins when the armor cracks. Imagine standing before a mirror that doesn't show your face, but every emotion you've suppressed. Every mask you've worn, every wound you've refused to name. Could you look? Could you stand there and not turn away? That's the beginning of real change. Not the promise of a new you, but the courage to meet the one who's been silently steering your life. So here's the question. What if your mistakes are not failures, but invitations? What if every heartbreak, every relapse, every repetition is life trying to wake you up? Would you still call them mistakes? Or would you call them teachers? Because maybe the purpose of life isn't to avoid pain, but to learn to meet it consciously. And maybe that's why you keep repeating the same story. Not because you're broken, but because your soul is trying to finish it. But before you can rewrite the story, you must first understand what's writing you. This is where Jung's greatest insight begins.